There is a very small moment that many women miss. Not when he says he loves you, not when he holds your hand, but 007 when he sits beside you, quieter than usual, and you can feel that something is sitting just beneath the surface. 014 maybe the two of you have just left dinner. Outside the car window, the street lights slide past in soft yellow. 021 streaks. He is still driving normally, still answering when you ask something, but his voice is lower. His shoulders 029 are tighter. His eyes stay on the road a little longer than they need to. You ask him if something is wrong, he says he is. 036 fine. And in the few seconds after that answer, something very important is happening. He is not deciding whether he loves you or not. He is not testing you. 046 he is measuring whether his feelings will be judged if they appear in front of you. This is the part many people misunderstand about men. Think men do. 054 not open up because they are cold, proud, or emotionally shallow. Sometimes that is true. Some men are not mature. 102 enough to speak honestly. Some men use silence as a way to avoid responsibility. And you should not romanticize every silence into a deep 111 secret. But there are also men who do have real feelings. They have just learned to hide them for so long that when those feelings appear, their first reflex is not to share. It is to check if he will look down on them if they speak. To check if he will use it against them later. To check if he will turn their tiredness into an argument. 132 about why they did not speak sooner. A man rarely opens up with one big confession. He often starts with 138 something very small. Today was kind of exhausting. Work has been messy lately. 144 I do not know if I am doing well. Those sentences sound ordinary. But sometimes they are a door opening just a little. 152 not wide enough for you to step in and pull everything out. Just enough for him to see what you will do with the small piece he do not know if I am doing well. Those sentences sound ordinary. But sometimes they are a door opening just a little. 152 not wide enough for you to step in and pull everything out. Just enough for him to see what you will do with the small piece he has just handed you. If you 2 o'clock rush to fix him, he may close down. If you rush to ask too many questions, he may go back to saying he is fine. If you 207 immediately turn the conversation toward your own insecurity, he may feel that his emotions have become another responsibility he has to manage for. 216 someone else. But if you can slow down for one beat, if you do not panic when he says something unclear, if you do not turn his silence into proof that he does more. Not because you use the right technique, but because beside you, he 232 does not have to defend himself right away. And here is the reversal. The woman who makes a man open up is not 239 always the woman who asks the most, understands psychology the most, or appears the softest on the outside. 246 sometimes she's simply the woman who does not make him feel analyzed the moment he admits one small thing. She does not pull the truth out of him. She gives the truth somewhere to appear. 257 This does not mean you should sit quietly forever waiting for someone who is never clear. You still have the right to need honesty. You still have the right to leave a relationship that keeps you guessing. But if there is a man who is truly trying to step out from behind his defenses, what helps him continue is 315 usually not the perfect question. It is the feeling that his unfinished answer will not make you turn away, mock him. 322 or turn it into pressure. And that is why the same question can make him feel pushed by one woman, but understood by 330 another. And this is where many women get confused. They think the problem is that they have not asked deeply enough, not been subtle enough, not been patient. 338 enough. But sometimes the problem is not W. Ordinary evening. He comes home later than usual. He puts his keys on the table, takes off his jacket, drinks a sip of water, then sits quietly on the chair. You notice it immediately. 358 Something is not right. You asked if something happened today. He says nothing really, just a little tired. If you stop there for a moment, maybe he 406 will continue on his own. But many people cannot stop because inside they start to worry. Who made him tired? What? 414 happened at work? Why did he not tell you from the beginning? Is he keeping everything to himself again? Is he 421 pulling away from you? These questions can come from love. But when they come too fast, too intensely, too full of the wrong thing, he closes down because he feels that if he says more, he will also have to take care of your reaction. 525 This is not the fault of women. Many women ask too many questions because they have been abandoned and silenced before. They have been with someone who 533 said they were fine and then left. They have had to guess everything alone. So when they see a small sign, they want to know immediately so they will not be 541 hurt again. That is very human. But if you want to understand why certain women make men feel safer to open up, this is 549 one major difference. They do not turn the moment he begins to reveal something into a moment where he has to explain himself to their fear. They can hear an incomplete sentence without rushing to fill it with conclusions. They can say, "It sounds like today felt heavy for you." Then let that sentence rest for a 606 moment. Not as a trick, not to make him talk more, but because some truths only appear when they are not being pulled. 613 once saw a very quiet man suddenly open up simply because the woman beside him did not ask him more questions. She did. 620 not rushed to advise him either. She only said gently, "Today must have been really tiring for you." Then she sat. 628 quietly beside him. After a while, he was tea. Does not mean you have to become a soft chair for all of his avoidance. If he is always silent, always unclear, always 644 leaving you to guess, you have the right to ask directly, you have the right to say, "I do not need you to tell me 651 everything immediately, but I do need to know if you want to build a real connection with me." Softness is not staying silent about everything that 7 o'clock hurts you. Mature softness is knowing when to slow down and knowing when to name a boundary clearly. A man may open up more when you do not ask him. 708 questions like you are putting him on trial. But he also has to take responsibility for moving toward you. You cannot create emotional intimacy for two people by yourself. You can only create a space where the truth does not feel afraid. Whether he chooses to step 723 into it, whether he chooses to be honest, whether he chooses to respect your presence, that is still his part. 730 And when he truly begins to speak, when he gives you a real piece of himself, that is not the moment to rush into the conclusion that he has chosen you. That 739 is the moment when you need to become even more clear because there is a very subtle trap waiting behind that trust. 746 But here is the very subtle trap. When a man begins to open up to you, it is easy to mistake that moment for a commitment. He tells you something he has not told many people. He talks about a failure, a fear, pressure in his family, feeling of not being enough that he usually hides. 805 And in that moment, your heart softens. 808 You think if he is telling me this, I must be very special to him. Maybe that is true. Maybe he really does trust you. 815 Maybe beside you, he feels that he does not have to perform being fine. But this is the part where you must stay clear. A man opening up in one moment does not 824 mean he has the ability to maintain emotional intimacy after that moment. 829 Some people only come to your tenderness when they are weak. They very deeply at night. But the next morning they become distant again. They send a 838 long message when they feel lonely. But when you need clarity, they say they are not ready. They let you see one wounded part of them, and without meaning to. 847 They make you believe that because you have seen that part, you should stay longer. This is where many women get 854 stuck. Not because they are foolish, but because their compassion has been awakened. When a man speaks honestly to 902 you may start seeing him as someone who needs to be understood, instead of someone who also needs to be observed. 909 Clearly, you begin explaining his lack of consistency. He does not reply because he is afraid of getting hurt. He 9:17 is unclear because he has been betrayed before. He moves close and then far because he does not know how to love. 9:24 All of that may contain some truth. But truth is not always a reason to abandon yourself. A wound can explain someone's 9:31 behavior, but it does not automatically make that behavior fair to you. I once saw a girl place so much trust in a man. 9:39 simply because one night he became vulnerable and told her things he had never told anyone else. She thought that meant he was serious. But in the days 9:48 that followed, he was still careless, still left her waiting. That was when she understood that what mattered was how he showed up every day. Real opening. 9:57 Up is different from temporary emotional release. Temporary emotional release often appears when he needs to be soothed, needs someone to listen, needs 10:06 a.m. place to put down what feels heavy for a few hours. But real opening up leaves a small change in the way he treats you. 10:13 He does not only look for you when night comes and everything inside him feels heavy. He can also meet you in ordinary days, speak with more clarity, behave 10:22 with more consistency, and not make you feel like you are only a place he visits when there is no one else to listen. A man W.